With a former WWE star signing with TNA and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Touching on how the Too Cool group was formed in WWE, Scott Garland said on the AEW Unrestricted podcast, "What happened was, that day I go to get a coffee at catering at WrestleMania. The way I remember it, there was nobody else in the room and I go to get a coffee. All the lights go out and a spotlight shines down on me and I feel somebody to my left and I look and it's Vince McMahon. He's getting a coffee at the same time. I said, 'Thank you, sir, for putting me on WrestleMania. It's a huge moment for me. I don't know if you know this, I used to wrestle as Scott Too Hot Taylor in the Independents for a while. Brian at that time was Brian Too Sexy Christopher. I know you have us in the Battle Royal tonight. I don't know if there's anything to it.' And he goes, let me think about that. And next week we show up on TV and we're too much. I'm too hot, he's too sexy." Explaining his issues that he has with AEW President Tony Khan, former WCW President Eric Bischoff noted on his 83 Weeks podcast, "I think there's a lot of great things about Tony, but I lost respect for him. And I've talked about this before, I don't want to spend a great deal of time on it. It's old stuff, right? But I'm a ridiculously loyal person, almost to my detriment sometimes, oftentimes to be honest, and I don't mind if someone wants to take a shot at me. I'm kind of used to it, like, a bit on the spot for whatever in terms of getting hate from those that don't think I'm qualified for the job or should have the job or did a great enough job or whatever, right? Finger point of doom. I don't mind that because I actually have fun with it now vis-a-vis the podcast and doing things with you. It doesn't bother me. But when someone who I have a ton of respect for that deserves even more than I can give, when that person is disrespected by somebody, it bothers me more. And when Tony Khan came out and said if Ted Turner knew 1% about wrestling as I do, WCW would still be around. It was such a fundamentally ignorant statement. And by that I mean no knowledge, no experience. That's the definition of ignorance, right? I'm not using it derisively. But at that very moment, I went, "You're just another guy. Your show is on the Turner Broadcasting Network and Turner Network Television, and you're criticizing and disrespecting." Not criticizing, disrespecting from a position of absolute ignorance. A guy who built the empire you're trying to survive on. And it's so disrespectful to me. I can like somebody, but if I don't have respect for them, they're just another person. I don't make any exceptions for people like that in terms of reacting to them and having fun with them on social media, things like that. That's fun for me, right? I get a kick out of it. Some of the stuff just makes me laugh. It's so funny. But when Tony came out and made that statement, it's like, no, he's just another Dave Meltzer dirt sheet wannabe with a lot of money, granted, but that the fact that he was born into a fortune doesn't necessarily make him any different than anybody else. And anybody else that was working the street that came out and made a stupid comment like that, an ignorant comment like that about Ted Turner, I would treat them the same way. But it's not because I don't like him. It's certainly not because I'm jealous. I think about this 3 or 4 times a week. What if I had been working for AEW? All this would have been because of me, you know what I mean? And it comes with the territory. But I am so grateful that I'm not there, that I'm not anywhere near it. Actually, I'm sitting in this chair talking about it objectively because I can, because I don't depend on them for an income, and thank goodness for that. But man, thank God I'm not there. And it's really not anything other than just a lack of respect because of Tony's stupid, ignorant comment that he said about Ted Turner. That changed my perspective from, I like this guy, don't know him very well, probably a total of 40 minutes face to face, don't know him, but I generally liked him, and because I had respect for him, and I could put myself in his shoes when he was launching his company. Revealing the original intentions for the Retribution stable, former WWE star Mace told Wrestling News, "The thought was, and as I understood it, they weren't sure where they were going, but the initial thought, when they had the little guys, that's actually how I ended up in Retribution, was they had the little guys with the ski masks on making a mess. and then everybody bragged on it because they were like, look at how small these guys are. Drew McIntyre would kill these guys. So the next week they said, Vince said get some bigger guys. So they actually got some performance center guys, and I managed to sneak my way in as an extra long enough to get unmasked and actually get called up. But as I understand it, we were meant to be Antifa. When Fox, because it was on SmackDown, found out that there was an Antifa angle on SmackDown on their Fox program, they said, hey, stop. So confusion happened. They were like, how do we pivot this? Because they had already dedicated a decent amount of time to this angle. And then they gave us supervillain masks. And I'm like, cool, let's lean into being, I really wanted to be like Power Rangers. Yeah, I wanted to be putties. We looked crazy. But like, I feel like there's a vibe for that. Yeah, but it never really got back on track. Some people didn't want to do it. And then they ended up, it kind of just lost steam and they lost interest in it. And when they lose interest in it, you don't win. And the only way things work is if you're, if you have momentum. And we never had momentum at any point, but it's funny to hear that you liked it because I get it all the time when I go out and I do things. People are like, oh, we loved Retribution. And it's so interesting because that entire period of my career was in the Thunderdome. So we had no live crowd. I was never Retribution in front of an audience. So we had no idea how the audience was reacting to it. We'd obviously look on Twitter, and Twitter's, notoriously more negative. It would have been really fascinating to know how the audience would have reacted to the Retribution angle, just because that lets you pivot, like if they're like, oh, these guys are actually scary, then play into that. Oh, these guys are kind of ironically goofy, play into that, but we'll never know. It's an alternate universe. Recalling what led to her signing with All Elite Wrestling, Deonna Purrazzo said this on Talk Is Jericho. So I knew my contract was coming up in Impact, and I just kind of felt like if it was time to leave, it would be now. If this was the territories, now would be the time to leave, right? And Britt Baker actually connected me with Tony Khan, and we just got to talking, and I knew the first Dynamite of the new year, it was going to be in Jersey. That's where I'm from. So I was like, that would be a dream scenario, dream come true if we could do that, and it all worked out. During that same interview, Purrazzo also mentioned why she ended up departing TNA. I was the champion for a very long time in Impact. I got to work with all of the women that were in our locker room, and it was just like, what other stories are there to tell? Everyone kind of put me over at that point. I've beaten everybody. They kind of figured maybe I was on my way out, so I got to do the favors and put everyone else over on my way out. It was like, what else is there to do? There's no one new coming in that I could work with. I don't know what else there's to tell here. Going over her time on NXT and WWE, Deonna Purrazzo revealed why she had a controversial reputation there, telling Talk Is Jericho. I think I was a little bit too vocal about the things that I thought weren't right or should be changed, and then when it came to me being TV ready or whatever, I was very vocal about just tell me what you don't like and what you do like, and I'll do the things you do like, and I'll work on the things you don't like. Just be straight up. I'm a 100% honest person. Just be honest with me. No one could tell me we don't like this or we do like this. And finally, I just had a breaking point of this isn't working for anybody. It sure as hell is not working for me. So either you're going to tell me what I'm doing wrong and I could fix it so I could be on TV because I came here to be a TV star, or I'm not going to be a TV star and you should just let me go. And yeah, I was let go 4 weeks later. I'll always be just straight up. This is what my problem is. This is what I need clarity on, and I need that back. It's like a mutual respect thing, and I think I just got to a breaking point where I'm like, you're not respecting me, so now I don't respect you. This isn't good for anybody because I remember sitting in someone's office in a screaming fight, and I'm like, that's not who I am. Deonna Purrazzo, the professional, doesn't do that, but now I'm like, Jersey Deonna, angry at home. And you don't want to bring that to work. So I think it was very vocal, and it got me a bad reputation, and then I couldn't undo that. Confirming her contractual status after appearing at a recent TNA event, Ash by Elegance, formerly known as Dana Brooke in WWE, said this on Ring the Bell. "It is official. The big secret is out. I am signed with TNA Wrestling, which is an amazing opportunity, and I cannot wait to explore that Knockouts division." She then said this regarding her appearance at TNA Hard to Kill. "It was spectacular. While that Knockouts title match was going on, I just wanted to make my way out to the ring and let my presence be known and watch an amazing match with one of my old co-workers, Trinity. So I was really excited to show up and watch her against Jordan, which was an amazing match, but also wanted to make a statement and let everybody know that my eyes are on that Knockouts title." She would also reveal the meaning behind her new name, telling Busted Open Radio, "Ash by Elegance is a different side of me, but I try to live my life every single day as being super elegant." Elegant is a word, but I feel like it has a variety and many multiple meanings. It's classiness, it's elegant, it's beautiful. It just means so much that I'm definitely going to bring that element into the ring and show everyone what class and elegance truly means. Trinity was a co-worker of mine back in WWE, and I love the progression she had made. She was actually one of the girls I had spoken with before making an appearance on TNA, and she's like, "Girl, this is the place for you. You have so much untapped potential that TNA will be able to bring it out in you." Another person that I had spoken with was Mickie James, and Mickie was like, "This is the place. You have so much potential and TNA is going to bring it out of you. You have a locker room of badass women to perform with." Bringing up his role in an upcoming movie with a UFC Hall of Famer, Kurt Angle noted on his podcast, "They haven't decided a definite date yet, but it will be within the next 6 weeks. I have a movie I'm going to be shooting. It's called The Ranch. Randy Couture is going to star in it with me. We're going to be brothers. It's a movie about a ranch. Randy is a war hero, and I'm the scumbag brother. I'm Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Why am I not the war hero? It's a good movie. We're working with Michael Tadros. If you don't know who he is, look him up. You'll see he's a really big-time Hollywood producer. I'm excited about doing this with Randy. I haven't done a major motion picture in 8 or 9 years, so this is really cool." When it comes to future plans for Major League Wrestling, it was reported that Fightful has learned that MLW's effective resident in Philadelphia is coming to a close after Super Fight. Outside of their presence and involvement with Whale Mania, the majority of MLW shows have emanated from Philadelphia since late 2022, with the exception of a few New York shows and Tijuana. MLW already has New York on the slate for February 29th, Tampa/St. Petersburg for March 29th, and Chicago for May 11th. We're told that they plan on traveling to more cities as opposed to returning to Philadelphia nearly as often. Talking about Cody Rhodes, Diamond Dallas Page said on Busted Open Radio that the reason why the WrestleMania 40 main event works for Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, it's old school. Everything about it is old school. Let's build the big pay-per-view, which is doing the biggest business they've ever done as far as numbers are concerned. They're doing the biggest business. That's what it comes down to, and Cody Rhodes is a humongous reason for that. Now, he's the original People's Champion, was Muhammad Ali, Dusty Rhodes, Diamond Dallas Page, The Rock, and now it's Cody. That's the People's Champion. They want it so bad. Mentioning the possibility of having another match against The Rock, Booker T said on his Hall of Fame podcast it would be. He can still right now, even still, I think that The Rock and I could go out there and give them one more where fans will say that you still got it, but I got no itch to scratch. Going over a New Japan Star's negotiations with WWE, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that Giulia never got an offer, at least as of a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago. For whatever reason, they didn't go after her. I don't know why. Asked if there is a fear factor to facing Logan Paul, LA Knight told Sunrise in Australia. Fear factor? Look, Logan Paul's been doing this about, 3 minutes? And I've been doing this for about 20 years. So no, if anybody's got a fear factor here, first of all, one of the clips that you showed had a little taste of it. Nobody could hear it, but I walked out there and basically laid the law down as far as what's going to go down if it was ever going to be me and Logan Paul in the ring. Downplaying the brawl that took place between CM Punk and Jack Perry, Samoa Joe told ESPN, "There was a little bit of an incident. We got it broken up. We went out there and wrestled, man. That's the gist of it. Everybody wants it to be a lot more than what it is, but that's what it was. And to speak any more on it would be pointless unless you're trying to get a scorecard and stuff. But trust me, it wasn't that type of a fight. Not to me. I've seen fights break out. Stuff happens, but again, that's me. I've been in these situations. I've seen that. I'll find it funny when people are like, oh, Joe's cool with it. I mean, nah, man, it was a high stress situation. Sure, but I mean, it's one I've seen happen many times. We get it squashed out. We had a show to do. We had 81,035 fans waiting out there, and that was my focus because that's what it was about at that moment. We're about to go out and have the best night of our lives. Giving an update on AEW star Keith Lee, House of Wrestling wrote that Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland were scheduled to give fans the singles match they have long clamored for at AEW Worlds in last month. Unfortunately, the match had to be canceled last minute due to doctors pulling Lee from action. In Lee's place, Dustin Rhodes unsuccessfully faced off against Strickland. One leg, two legs, irrelevant. Lee began a post shortly after being pulled from World's End. Ask Cage. I was there. You saw me. Just because Doc pulled me does not make you safe. You may be chosen, but I'm real. Wherever the next meeting happens, I swear to God you will regret every syllable. That's a promise, little homie. In a post on social media, which came from a private account that House of Wrestling was asked not to share a link to, Lee gave the following update on his condition. Took roughly 19 years, but I guess it's my turn, he writes. Time to get fixed. Here's to double surgeries. Certainly one way to start 2024. Lee did not provide any other details on his injuries or what surgeries he will be undergoing. House of Wrestling is we're going to find out more details and we'll bring them to you when we have them. Lee and Strickland began tagging in February 2022 and adopted the name Swerve in Our Glory. The two men captured the AEW World Tag Team Championships a few months later at Dynamite Fighter Fest Night 1, defeating defending champions the Young Bucks and Team Taz in a triple threat match. During their reign, they were victorious over top teams like the Lucha Brothers, the Gun Club, and the Acclaimed, the latter of which eventually dethroned Lee and Strickland at Dynamite Grand Slam. The two began to schism during their tag titles rematch against the Acclaimed at Full Gear, with Lee ultimately walking out on Strickland after being pushed to use excessive force. They attempted to remain a unit but fully split when Strickland partnered with Prince Nana to form the Mogul Embassy. Lee's last AEW match took place on the December 23rd episode of AEW Collision, where he defeated Brian Cage. Revealing what could be next for him after suffering an ankle injury, Kota Ibushi wrote on X, the report was delayed. It appears that the ligament had been completely torn. There were already fewer ligaments in other places, so I was completely immobilized in a cast that came down to just below my knee. Next, I will decide what to do with the left side, and the right one will be coming back every 2 weeks. My shoulder isn't in perfect condition either, so I'm planning to fix everything this time. We apologize for the inconvenience. I would like to think about various things later. for information regarding Andrade jumping to WWE following his AEW exit, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said Andrade is finished up with All Elite Wrestling and has an agreement with WWE. The path there was a roller coaster. We're told that Andrade's original deal was only for 2 years, but there was injury time added that extended it, that ended up with him being signed through the end of the year. AEW talent said that Andrade was often very open about his contract status and that his deal would be up in or at the end of 2023. Numerous talent also said that he'd mentioned that he planned to stay with AEW and was considering another, but by the end of his run had told wrestlers he was headed back to WWE. Several in AEW actually expected him to show up on WWE programming the week after he left AEW. It would also be added that we're told that Charlotte pushed for an Andrade return to WWE, and Andrade had actually pushed for Ric Flair to come into AEW. Addressing the fact that WWE spoiled his return to the company at Survivor Series, Randy Orton said this on WWE's The Bump. Kind of let the wind out of my sails. After it was all said and done, I got a great reaction. No one stepped on anyone's toes. They got Randy Orton back. 2 different reactions, 2 different people. On a personal level, I was happy to have him back, CM Punk. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.